Yeah, there you
There
go.
you go.
Yeah, that's definitely better. That is definitely better. And guess what, fellas? We are live on this Sunday. Listen, it's an honor to be sitting here with Mike Pond, the legend himself, the owner of Toon Racing. I can't wait to get into this one. Of course, my good buddy Mark Sherman, um, Pendergast, my co-host today. It's an honor to be sitting down here with you two gentlemen on this fine Sunday afternoon. And first, before we get into all this, I just want to say congratulations, Mike, on your wedding, bro.
I appreciate that. I'm a lucky man.
Yeah, yes, you are. Yes, you are. Absolutely. And Mark Sherman, he's got a wedding coming up here next year, which I'm super excited about. It's gonna be a good party and good times. I see you back there with Liquid Death, right? Yeah, yeah, it's good stuff,
Wish they'd
man.
be sponsored.
Right?
Yeah,
You
well, I
should
don't
be.
have a sponsor, so mine's on a generic cup. I'm waiting for that logo to show up.
Right? Yeah, yeah. A pair, right? Like rub it and hopefully it'll appear like when we was a kid. You remember those little things you could rub and the image would appear when you was little? Yeah, yeah.
All right.
Good. We're taking it back old school right now on that one. Yeah, but anyway, dude, let's get into this. I've been waiting on this one for a long time. And again, like I said, Mike, thank you so much for taking your time to sit down with me and Mark today and do this podcast. So let's
It's
get
my
it,
pleasure, man. I've been looking forward to it myself ever since we spoke, a couple weeks ago. Good times coming, I thought.
It absolutely it
Oh,
is.
absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
So
Mark, I have to say, I've been enjoying seeing all the pictures you're posting too. Congratulations, man. It's nice
Oh,
finding those right person,
yeah, it was at least expected, and yeah, like
That's when the best ones
that's
come,
all
I
it
think.
took. Yeah, just you just I don't know. I've always seen it, and in other people, and I just thought, you just have to. You just figure it out. I don't know if I'm going to get the right person. I mean, you think you're with the right person, but there's always something. There's red flags here or there, and it can be on both parts, not just the other person, but for the other person and me as well. But
Right.
yeah, when I was a little bit jealous, I'd see other people that really were wanting to be together. They didn't, they just, and so
communication comes easier. I found that when I found the person that clicked right, everything was just easier.
Yeah, and that's just it. And you don't fight. It just kind of, I've always been a person that has been able to be alone. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me to be by myself, even in a relationship or whatever. But actually, I get more. We both kind of not irritated, but when we're not together, it's harder. Which has never been my experience in my life, and I'm 58. So,
well, congratulations, man.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, good times coming. So just touch on that since we're on this. I actually met my wife on a blind date. Never seen her before. This was back when MySpace was around. I know everybody remembers MySpace, right? I had a MySpace page. A buddy I worked with, his wife, they worked together at an insurance company. They're like, hey, we want you to meet this girl. I think you're perfect, blah, blah, blah. We try to meet up several times. Of course, stuff comes up, blah, blah, blah. But when it did end up meeting, it was, I actually took one of my friends that just got done with a divorce with me on my blind date. Because he was going through this hard time and needed somebody to be with him. So I was like,
"So guy that just got divorced is going to give you advice."
Right. So, well, I just wanted him to, just have a couple beers, loosen up, have a good time, right? But she was out there with some of her friends too, the couple that introduced us. So we hung out for a while, and then it was good. It's good stuff. But listen, Mike, how did you get into motorcycles to begin with at a young age? Like, who introduced you to motorcycles? Where did the love for it all begin?
Well, my mom, when I was a little kid, my mom had a Honda in the 80s, one of the old CB600s, I think it was. And she was probably one of the first. And I had an uncle that had Gold Wings that rode back and forth cross country. My dad was into classic cars, but he did buy me I guess technically my first motorcycle in third grade. So it was a 72 Yamaha Enduro, the 175. It's bigger than me, and it was hard to pick up. That's all I remember. We lived out in the desert, so I'd ride it till I hit reserve, and then hope that you get close back to the house before reserve runs out.
So you didn't have to push it the rest of the way, right?
Oh yeah, multiple times.
Yeah. So after that, where did it go?
Well, I don't know. I started a business early. I worked real hard. So my 20s were invested a lot into that. And then when it started getting a little more successful, I got to where I was back into racing again rather than motocross, though I got into supermoto at the time. and ran that on the West Coast. Met some pretty cool people like Frankie Garcia. A lot of those guys I met from Supermoto. Frankie, my first national event was at Daytona. I took Frankie on my other bike, and he raced the 200, and I raced Super Sport back then, or at that time, anyways.
Yeah,
he's a good guy, good friend.
Yeah, Frankie's cool.
Yeah, he's really cool. Yeah, we saw him at Jersey there.
Yeah,
and Daytona.
Yeah. Good
so then you graduated into the Wera then, huh? Started racing.
Well, no, actually WSMC, Willow Springs. That's where I cut my teeth. I rode, a few track days at multiple different tracks, but in Willow, I called my home track because I was 30 minutes away from there. But to start racing, Willow Springs was the ticket. And I loved the place. After being in WSMC for 2 or 3 years, the organization ran into some issues, and another friend of mine started Moto West GP out of the same area, or out of Willow Springs, and we raced through that for a few years, and with Wera and AFM, and pretty much anybody that let us throw a leg over a bike, we'd go.
That's awesome, man. So what got you into, did you ever ride on the street before you actually did your first track day, or?
A little bit. I mean, in 1998, I bought a street bike, rode it for a while, ended up getting in an accident, and I lost my shoulder, compounded my wrist, part of my liver, and my ankle. And a big crash. I spent some time in the hospital. And after that, I didn't get back into bikes until probably about 2001. I bought a 600. A month later, I bought an RC51. I started doing track days a lot. Got back, and that's when I got into the supermoto racing again. And 2007, I think it was, I got my new racer's license for road racing. 2008, I got my expert license. And 2010, I raced around quite a bit. 12, I started the national team. At that time, I had a tuning center in California. So I was tuning motorcycles and working on bikes throughout the week just to fund the team to roll out on the weekends.
Yeah, it's a lot of money in this.
Yeah, there was a lot of people at play, I have to say. I was a very fortunate person in that everybody I worked with on my team loved it. They were passionate about racing. They were passionate about the team. They're happy to be there. I got to work with Bryce Prince real closely. He put in a lot of hard work and hard time into doing racing to make sure that we got to where we had to go. Alex Eisner, he was another crucial point or part of the team. Most of you guys remember him as a bearded guy that was kind of telling everybody what to do in the pits. Because he was my trackside manager, and just numerous guys. I could sit here and name them off for quite some time. Mike Castro, people know him as Fuzzy.
Fuzzy, yeah, that's my dude right there. Yep.
Yeah, we've worked with him for a long time. I mean, Uncle Randy is who we know him as, but we had so many crucial people, and I'm thankful for every one of them because they all put in that little piece that made Tune Racing what it was, made us present the way we did, because we weren't the richest team in the paddock by any means close, but we worked extra hard to make up for it.
Oh yeah, not only that, but I mean, you guys were always so much fun to be around. Whenever you come to the rig, mess around, you always had time, and it was everybody. Yeah, like you said, everybody wanted to be there. It wasn't like they felt like it was a paycheck,
right. Yeah, great guys. That just a whole nother family of mine. The racing paddock itself is a family. You get along with some family, great. Some of them you bang heads with, and then some of them you can't wait to see again.
Yeah, it's all hugs and smiles at the end of the day anyway with the family,
yeah, for sure.
What I'm saying. Yeah, so the RC51, man, listen, it's always been one of my dream bikes. I actually just got one. Well, I've had it for several months now. And I love it, right? It's a great bike. It really is. Iconic. Mike Wheeler says RC51, glutton for punishment.
Right.
So I've never done a track day on the RC. What's that like? Do you ever race it?
I never raced it, but I did quite a few track days on it. It's a lot of torque. They pulled great out of the corner. Mine would wheelie up in fifth gear, so it wasn't a power problem. It wasn't anything special. I just had it geared where it worked good for the track. So
That's awesome.
I didn't really get heavily into the track though until I started getting on the Honda thousands, the RRs, and that's what I went through new racer school with too. It's what I had. I had a couple of them, so I made one my track bike and one my street bike. And once the track bike got crashed, then the street bike graduated to be a track bike. When I switched to 600s, I started going faster. I religiously went 2 seconds faster at every racetrack that I ever raced at on a 600 over my 1000. Because you just learn to carry speed. It's easier to dial the chassis in, that kind of stuff. And, now I think if I went back out on 1000, I would go faster. But the smaller bikes, like we were talking about, the R3 and the 400s earlier, it's so crucial in developing those skills and that mentality on manipulating the chassis to work with you instead of against you. When you just lean on the handlebars, you're trying to influence 90% of the bike with only the 10% in front of the steering stem, and it tends to want to push the front end when you got that much more weight pushing. But if you lean on the peg and let the chassis lean it with it, it all works together, right?
Yeah, and you know what? It's all comes down to fundamentals, right? You're starting at that lower bike and learning how it works. I mean, right. I was listening to Kayla Yakov at Jersey talking about the difference between the Yamaha and what she was on, and she's asking the guys if they were blipping it, and she's like, "Oh no, I don't blip it. I just go," So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, she's a amazing talent. I tell you, I'm excited to see where she goes.
Well, I always say this, and because I'm probably her number one fan, but I've known her for quite a while, even back when they were in the paddock trying to get rides and get noted, and everyone always made fun of me because I said I think she's got something. Those are girls who've gone through quite a bit and
right.
In a short period of time, and some pretty heavy stuff. And
my wife was a big fan of hers from this, and she's seen her.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. But I mean, even some personal stuff. She handles it like a champ, and she just has that in her. It's just an ability that she has. It's who she is. It's not something that's taught. And when you see somebody like that comes along that I believed from that time, I think that she's going to be incredible. And people are always like, wow, just wait till she has puberty or this or that. It's going to change.
Right.
She's who she is. She is a go-getter. She's very marketable. So I'm so happy she got with Rahal, which I knew that was going to happen. But I'm really glad because this is really step her game up, and then
she's got the talent and the personality. There's other kids out in the paddock that have a lot of talent, but they don't quite have that same personality. And
you don't go very far because you have to be marketable, as you know, because teams need to make money to keep the wheels going. And if you're not a marketable type of rider and you're not winning everything,
right. Nowadays, it doesn't even just winning doesn't cut the mustard. It really doesn't. You have to be that marketable person that sells yourself, the team, has a cause, that type of thing.
Yeah, and social media is so big in our sport today, right? Like it almost seems like you got to have that on your resume and a certain amount of followers and active and all this.
And what do you bring to the team?
What you bring into the team and all this good stuff. But dude, Eli Colby. So Mike, you know Eli Colby?
It sounds
Eli
familiar.
Block. Yeah, he won the last 2 races in Jersey in the rain.
Okay, yeah.
Everybody, right? So Eli's a good friend of mine, and he actually gave me his leather suit hanging up in the background right here. That I hang up, man. Him and his dad were, when I met him in Jersey, was freaking awesome, man. We had such a good time. And this is what he said. He said, track family is the best family, no matter who you are, a racer, a spectator, or some guy named Chris at Jersey. We all love them. And of course, give them a Red Bull. Cause I'd go by his truck and be like, hey man, you got another Red Bull? And they kept a free stock of Red Bull. So yeah, man, that was good time. So transitioning from racer to team owner at Tuned Racing, Mike, what was the progression and how did all that come about?
Well, 2015, we were at Laguna Seca, and budgets were thin as it was, so I was taking tires off of one of my riders' bikes and putting them on mine for me to go out for my next session because I raced in the lower class, and I caught myself going off in turn 6 3 times that weekend, thinking about tire budgets, and I realized that weekend that that's my destiny. It's time to hang the helmet up for a while and focus on growing the team and giving an opportunity to these kids that are working so hard for it. So that was my last national round, and that was in 2015, 2016. As you guys know, Bryce did really well. Aguilar was doing well that year too, and things. Aguilar was the next big one in the seat for Superstock, which he won in 17.
Yep.
These guys were awesome, and it was time. But it was a hard pill to swallow, I have to say. I didn't race from 2015 until 2019 at all, and I got talked into it 2019 one weekend, and then I was hooked all over again, man. It was like it's a drug. You had to be there every weekend.
Yeah.
And during the week, I'm tuning on the bike.
It's
well, you did everything for that team, though. You even
Yeah.
drove the rig, because I remember having a discussion with you about, because I was a driver for UPS for going on 16 years, and I remember you had the rig, and you were telling me, I said, well, when you get to the weigh stations or whatever, or you get pulled over DOT, I said, do you have a CDL? And you said no, because I have it licensed as a private coach or something, I think you said.
Yeah. Well, that was
like,
registered, titled and registered as a private coach. But I've had a CDL for 28 plus years.
Oh, okay. So you've had it.
Yeah, since I first turned 18.
Yeah.
But I still have
how long I've had it.
I still have the truck, trailer, and all the equipment. I'm actually looking to see if I can. Well, you guys, like I mentioned earlier, Alex Eisner. I'm looking to see if we can help out, 3 or 4 racers with transportation, that kind of stuff, and just roll my equipment. As far as I know, or to me, it's better for me to help somebody out and get the insurance paid, where it don't come out of my pocket for the year, that kind of stuff. Man, the truck's gonna stay in better shape when it's rolling. Rather than
I was gonna say the diesel's not good to sit there like that, for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that something comes together with that. It'd be Alex handling the logistics side of it and all that. I have a full-time position right now where I could help out on weekends and whatnot, but not during the week.
Yeah. So did you get the same satisfaction of being a team owner or a racer?
I wish I could lie to you and say yes, it was, but obviously riding a bike, there's nothing like riding. And there's nothing to replace riding except for maybe flying a plane.
I agree there, because that's me.
So do you fly, Mike?
I have flown. I've got about 20 hours, but I don't have a license. I have some big RC planes that I haven't flown in a few years, but I've flown a lot.
So you did what I did. So I actually worked for American Airlines as a crew chief for quite a few years back in the 90s, and I just didn't have the ability or the money to get my private license. So I grew up in Chicago, so I worked out of O'Hare, and there was a private FBO north of there. It was Glenview Naval Air Station, where I started my lessons, but then I ran out of money with the CAP. So I actually had a fighter pilot that was teaching me, and we took off.
Nice.
And he started yelling at me about, engine out, where are you going to land? And it took me like a few seconds, and he's like, turn around, you're dead, land. And I was just like, ugh. But it wasn't like your regular CFIs,
right.
But yeah, so I was in charge of all the alcohol at this
I had a
airport.
really good friend that had a little Cherokee 160, and so I had plenty of flight time before I had flight time, if you will.
That's what I would do. I would literally go on every flight that they left. If they had maintenance flight, whatever it was, they would call me. And I actually flew with a guy that back when Kodak film was still film, he would go from Chicago to Findlay, Ohio, on a Mitsubishi MU2, which they couldn't rent out because it had a high crash rate and the insurance was high for passengers. So we used it for cargo. And I flew with him for a whole year between there, and I'd come back overnight. We'd be back in Chicago at 5 a.m. and I'd go to work at 7. So
that makes for hard days.
Yeah, but when you're young, it was a lot of fun. And then I got to get on the simulators, and I transferred to Dallas. And about 2 or 3 in the morning, sometimes they would do maintenance on like the 767 simulator. So they'd say, you guys want to come in and fly? And so we'd go in, and it was a lot of fun.
Nice.
That was my calling. That's where I missed it. I should have went to
my uncle put 40 years in with American Airlines there in Tulsa.
At maintenance, yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
We used to ferry planes up there. I would do that too. If they would have a ferry thing, boom, and as a crew chief in Dallas, because it's so big, that once you're qualified with a A&P mechanic, you can actually taxi the airplane to the gate from the hangar. So we would do that too, which was a lot of fun. Of course, we'd mess with passengers, but that's another story for another time.
Right. Hit the oxygen mask. Boom! Everybody put the oxygen mask on. We got a problem. Maybe see everybody freak out. Yeah,
but flying and racing does go together. I can see it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you get that same kind of attention, and that's what I always liked about it, is because my mind's not on 100 things. I can focus in on the bike and everything needed to happen right then. So
right, you got always be ahead, especially with airline, with planes,
Right.
Yeah, my dad, he's a pilot. He was a fighter pilot in the Navy. He's been with United since 84, 83. He's a
Your dad?
Yeah.
How did I not know this when I saw him?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I just didn't say that. Yeah,
well,
dude.
It's better you didn't, because I probably would have been talking to him for the rest of the weekend. I probably want to watch the race.
But I remember when he used to take me up flying in little Cessna planes. And
172s, 182s.
Yeah, I guess it was. I just remember going. We left the airport. We pulled up, and he was like, "Okay, you get to fly," and I had to, and all this cool shit, right? But I remember going over a lake, and all of a sudden the plane just going and coming back up. That was like my first experience in a little plane. I've flown all my life on big planes, right? You don't feel that really on a big plane, but on those small planes,
no, but you get that. You get that because it updrafts over the water. Yeah, you always get that. Yeah.
Well, my first experience. The first time landing and you get that ground effects, I was in that Cherokee, and the plane jumped up 4 feet off the runway. And I told my buddy, I'll take the controls. He says, "You got this." I said, "Take the effing controls."
You don't want to.
He's like, "You got this, but you better hurry because you're running out of runway."
Yeah.
Make a decision real quick. Right. Yeah.
That Cherokee 160, that wasn't a stick, was it?
No.
Still a yoke. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been in some really crappy stuff. I've been in. My ultimate goal is a Blue Angel ride.
Oh,
I watch the videos and everyone's like, or they're throwing up. I'm like, yeah, if I could ever get that would be like amazing.
Yeah, I couldn't. Yeah, that would be proper, right? But so my favorite jet's F-14. I always wanted to go up in the F-14 Tomcat, pass out, puke on myself, just be like, yes, look at this. I had so much fun. This is part of the experience.
Bucket list.
Right?
That's an old dinosaur now, the F-35.
Yeah,
I think it's like it does stuff that's aerodynamically almost impossible. The turns that this thing makes.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
It is. It is. So, have you guys ever been skydiving before? You flew planes? You ever jumped out of one?
I have once. Yeah.
I was always told that you're crazy if you jump out of a perfectly good airplane, so I have not done it. I'm not saying.
Well, that's the thing. Where I went to fly, it was in Taft, California, and the plane, the fuselage was moving over 6 inches as we're taking off and flying through the air. And you look at each other and go like, I don't want to land in this damn thing. So that's how they help increase your confidence of jumping. But the planes that they do.
Yeah, I did it. In Phoenix, Arizona, when I went to MMI, me and my buddies, two of my buddies come out from Virginia and stayed with me for 2 weeks. So it was like 11,000 feet, some shit like that. Man, I'll never forget it. And so that's how I come with my fear of heights. Like I wouldn't get on a ladder barely, right? I was like a pussy when it comes to heights. I mean, I ain't gonna lie, right? So I told my buddies, I was like, yeah, talking shit. If you ever come out here, I'll skydive. Sure enough, here they come, right? And I'm shitting my pants. It's a 3-hour ride. We get there. Everybody's talking shit, right? Like, yeah, I'm going to go first. I'm going to do this. So we sit down. We watch this video, right, as they prepare the shoots and all this. And some of it's death. Some of it's people puking and having fun. And we're all just dead silent. We come out of the room. We're in this circle. The instructor's like, okay, who's going first? Again, dead fucking silence, like all this shit we talked, right? But listen, getting up there, I'll never forget sitting down in this little plane. There was a gap in the door like this, and my seatbelt across my legs. The dude that I'm jumping with right there in front of me with his legs where my knees are. And dude, nobody said shit. The pilot, nobody. And I'm nervous as bro. The most nervous I've ever been, sweating profusely. I'm like, I can't do this. Like, yes, you can. Talking myself in and out of it, watching the ground just disappear and disappear. And finally, the guy goes, all right, get ready to jump. We're at altitude, right? So the instructor's like, okay, take seatbelt off, get on your knees, grab the dash. And I looked over at the pilot, and all I see is like hee-haw. Y'all remember hee-haw? Just that smile with all them teeth. Like he seen the fear of death in my eyes, and he just shit-eating grin on his face. And he straps me in because it was tandem, opens the door, and I'm looking down. I was like, holy fuck, dude. And there's a handle, and you put your foot out and all this shit. But when I dropped out of that plane, man, it was the most freedom I've ever felt in my life. It was just, it's hard to put into words. It really is. It was, I would do it again, 100%. It was the best adrenaline rush you ever had, period.
Right. For like 10 seconds. And then it was like I was floating.
Yeah, literally like you're floating. It's crazy.
Yeah. I had to cut, like that. Well, probably not even 10 seconds. Just that initial out of the plane till you get up to speed. You have that fall feel, and then it's like, poof, you're just floating. It was, yeah.
Yeah, once you, Amy, that is something we are.
When you hit terminal velocity.
Yeah.
No, that's right. But I remember Mike, like, I was like, man, I just didn't want to get puke, right? So the parachute comes open and, you pull it all straight down. And you literally come to a dead stop almost. It's crazy feeling, too, when you're 9,000 feet in the air, almost at a dead stop. And then he says, pull down hard on the right one. Next thing I know, we get in this big old spin, right? And I was like, uh-oh. Mouth drooling. I got shit all over the side of my face. I'm like, can we stop doing this? He's like, yeah, sure. And then yanks the other side, and we start going around the other side. And I got the shit coming on this side of my face. I'm trying to wipe my face off, dude. It's all my goggles and shit. So I take the goggles off, and it was just, he's laughing. It was crazy. But landing was crazy because you don't understand. Like, you actually come in pretty quick,
right.
and then you pull the chute
and flare it out.
Oh man, it's
Did you ever feet up? They tell you keep your feet up and let him get on.
Yeah, I had to like put my
so you got your
my
butt.
chest.
You kind of came down on your butt. That's why I see videos of that. They always seem like, it'd probably break your legs otherwise. I would think. Yeah.
So Jeff Chandler said, but it doesn't have that roller coaster no gut feeling. I mean, it does, but to me it was different than a roller coaster, right? Because you're strapped to a metal machine and you anticipate it. You still do when you jump out of a plane, but it's a different type of stomach drop, right, Mike? I mean, to me,
right.
It was anyway.
It's just like, well, then you have that instant fear, if you come out and, oh shit, I'm falling. And then, like I said, it was like it just came to, like you started floating out. And from that point on, it was the coolest ride ever. And I guess you have that one little quick moment when you pull and you're waiting for the chute to pop. So there's that little adrenaline junkie section too.
So is it a pretty good shock when it finally pulls and gets?
Yeah, I mean,
you're going so fast, and you're going from 0 to.
You're going from about 100, 120 miles an hour to, like you said, almost a stop. By the time it gets you 15 miles an hour or something, and then you get back into the chute.
You better hope that harness is in the right spot down there.
Listen, this is one of my fears, Mike and Mark, man. Like, I kept telling the guy the whole time, I'm like, how up to date is this harness? Like, are these buckles really legit? Like, there's no issues with them. Is it sewn just right? Like,
he's checking stitches.
Yeah, I do know my bullshit. I'm like, I guess if I'm gonna die today, it's beautiful. It's a good day to do it, but I really don't want to. I'm trying to go home, right? So, yeah, I was that nervous. I'm not gonna lie. It was. It was
me too. But like I said, once you get away from the plane, it was the coolest ride ever.
It was, it is. It's hard. It's even hard to compare that to motorcycles. That adrenaline.
Well, motorcycles are far better as far as I'm concerned.
I was gonna say,
me too. Me too.
Being on the back, when Nate Colonel was giving me some tips, he's like, just get on the bike. Come on, we're gonna go out. Just hop on my bike. And I was like, yeah, whatever. I've never been on the back of a bike ever. Not on a sport bike, never been on the back. And it's not like we're on the 2-up with Chris, they hold on 2 hands. No, this is take your hand off and put it, switch and go with him each way. And I mean, I physically almost couldn't hang on anymore because he was getting, we were going up, and I did 3 laps on Lightning.
Oh, wow.
I was just like, after 3 laps, I was like tapping him. I'm like, I don't think I can physically hang on. Because I'm used to, you're used to being hunched over and having that, but being high up,
dig your hill and all that.
Yeah, trying to get over, and I just, it was hard trying to get off the back of the bike because I'm sitting up higher. But oh my god, what a ride that was!
Well, people used to make the comment like, riding a road bike compared to even a dirt bike was easy, and I thought, you haven't rode at pace then, because when you're actually hanging off the side of that bike and you're working back and forth, especially on tight tracks, it's a lot of work.
Your legs and your abs.
They always say that you see these guys when you're out riding on the streets, and they're like, I'm so fast. And I'm like, yeah, well, the fastest guy on the street is the slowest guy on the track. I've seen guys
the track day.
Yeah, well, that's just it.
Exactly. The track day. Yeah.
That was my goal, is to get a lot of these kids that were doing all this stupid stuff, including, when I was growing up. I'm surprised, I got away with a lot of stuff, but trying to get them off into the track, get them off the streets. And I got about 4 or 5 there, and they did about 1 lap, and they come in and they were sweating. 1 lap at Summit Point, and they came in, they were sweating, and I was like, "What's wrong?" And they're like, "Oh man, I'm like dead." I'm like, "Yeah, because you have to put it all together for the whole time." Because they're like, "I'm just so fast." I'm like, "Well, you can go fast in a straight line for 10 seconds, big deal."
Yeah.
They
run out of rotor gas.
Yeah, but they're all expert riders now. They got hooked, they got the bug, and they.
Some of the track day companies I've worked with a lot in the past and still great friends with. One out of Vegas, Apex Assassins. They've started the Taste of the Track, so they allow street riders to come out. They don't have to pay the money for the whole track day, all that kind of stuff. And at lunchtime, they get some lead follow laps, just so they can kind of see what it's about. People come out on Harleys and everything else just to see what it's about, and it's caused a lot more people to make that transition to where they want to do track days. They're not afraid of it anymore, because there's a stigma.
Idea to do that like that instead of having to pay, because that's what I was here. Oh, I got to do it. I'm like, yeah, but you just spent like $5,000 on some stuff that doesn't even matter because you're not even good enough to use it.
Right? They have to come out in at least like a textile style riding pants and jacket with their helmet and their regular street gear, and it's controlled. Don't get me wrong, but you can get out there and you can accelerate and stray a little bit, and you can kind of get an idea of it, and it costs them nothing.
Well, that's really cool.
So, yeah,
Dustin Coiner and his track days offered Chris and I to come on out there and ride, and as you can see in the back,
just take them up on it.
We will. As you can see, I got the new KYT right there.
He's good people anyway. So
he's awesome. Are you kidding me? We did the ghetto chicken wings when we were in Daytona. He was telling us about these chicken wings, and Chris Rutledge and I were there, and we went out, and I was like, "Though I've had chicken wings everywhere, but this absolutely was the best chicken wings ever." So we may be doing it this year.
Mike, at that place he's talking about.
Where is this at?
It's in the ghetto, Daytona Beach. It's some place in the ghetto there. I forget the name of it. He might, if he's on, he might send what it's called. But it was really weird because they had like all these cars going back and forth. They had all these huge speakers, and like they had a big like sound off. I mean, I'm talking like concert speakers in the back of these trucks. Literally, I have video of it. It's crazy, and it was just really cool vibe. But yeah, the wings were just amazing.
I have to say, my big focus when I'm in Daytona is oysters. I'll eat dozens and dozens of oysters.
I'm with you on that, Mike. I'm with you on that. Are you going to be at Daytona this year?
I'm hoping. I'm really hoping. With this new job I have, though, it's going to restrict how much I can actually attend. So
yeah. Are you planning on attending like a lot of the MA rounds this year, or just select few? Or
select few is what my goal is. I get some time off, and I want to be able to go out and help people out on the weekend. And like I was saying, I'll be at a lot more of them if my equipment's there.
Yeah.
Because Alex will be able to handle logistics. I can fly in on weekends and help people out, and then get back to my job.
Well, I'm trying to make it to Daytona this year. It's on the schedule. Me and my dad and my son and my wife, we plan on doing that. And Atlanta, Georgia, and then Jersey again, of course, Texas for the MotoGP race. So
just have your dad come up and pick us up. I mean, you're gonna fly. There's an airport literally right down the street here.
Right. I wonder how much it would cost us to rent a plane and fly to Texas or Florida.
That's a good question. I think about that all the time.
Yeah, it's done by. I mean, it depends on what kind. Well, you and what you're doing with Cessna, you'd have to. Well, he's a captain, so he's got twin engine certifications and everything.
Yeah.
But once you get up in like turboprops, it gets pretty expensive. That's the one thing about airplanes; they're pretty expensive.
Yeah, but can you get a private jet for $5,000 or $6,000 for like a run from Vegas to?
Maybe 10 or 15. I would think they're really expensive. Jets are super expensive. I mean, I don't know. I shouldn't say that. I don't know. You'd have to go with like NetJets or somebody and see what if you got like a Citation, not like a G5 or something, but maybe or a Learjet or something.
We were talking about the other day because we went to a corporate summit for the company I'm working for, and there was about 8 of us, and we all flew business. And I was thinking, well, what we paid to fly with this company, you probably could have rented a jet and put us all on that, and not had to go through all the stuff with like security and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's possible. back when I was in charge, back in the day, it was still pretty expensive. I was actually in charge of the Bally Corporation, the chairman. I was in charge of his calendar. So, well, I was in charge of a lot of people because I was actually very popular because I had the key to all the alcohol.
So you were the go-to guy.
Yeah,
Go ask Mark. He's got the key.
Like, hey, for a bottle of Jack, I'll take you up tonight, and I mean, I was young. I was 18. That's how stupid I am. The instructors are drunk as hell. And they're like, okay, let's go. We're like, all right, let's go, take off. And I'm like, well, what if I have a problem up there? I mean, this guy's not going to be able to do anything. But
or he's going to be laughing as you guys are on the way down crashing. Are you ready to die?
I remember being in the pattern and doing a downwind, and it was getting a little bumpy. And I was thinking to myself, geez, if I mess this up, this is my life. This is like, I was kind of taking my life in my own hands because this guy's he's like inebriated past, like, he couldn't even do the radios. So,
yeah, that's scary.
Yeah, that was the last time I did that because I thought, geez, if I ever do get in trouble, I'm
screwed. Yeah. So, Mike, Jeff said we have to get Des up to parachuting when I come up to visit.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be the day. That's my brother-in-law trying to get my wife jump out of a plane. I don't think that's going to happen, but you never know.
Yeah, right?
Maybe if we push her.
Well, if we get Amy to go, maybe then it'll.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go. If she has somebody else to go with. Nikki, my wife, would never fuck. She'd be like, this is what she'd look at all of us standing in line and say, all you guys are fucking idiots. I'm going to be over here. Yeah.
Is she like the lady that's on the airplane and they look out the window and go, oh, the wing's moving? I'm like, huh?
When me and my wife met, she's never been on a plane. And then when we went to Colorado for my brother's birthday, wedding, that was the first time she's ever been on a plane. And I can't remember if she sat in the aisle or the window. But we didn't sit together. We ended up having different seats. But she said she was nervous about it. She definitely do it again, right? It's always nervous getting on a plane, especially for people that get it real bad anxiety and really scared of heights and not being in control of a wheel or whatever, right? I could see where it could be really nerve-wracking.
I'll give her more anxiety. Like today, even it's not quite the same for me anymore because the pilots definitely are not coming out of the military. It's more flight management because these planes are so advanced now. I think they're losing the art of actual flying because basically with 600, 800 feet off the ground, they're going to autopilot. Your dad will probably tell you that.
Yeah.
They have auto land. They don't take over until about 1,500 feet or 1,000 feet before they land. And so the actual art of actually flying an airplane is like going away. So when systems go down and they really have to hand fly, they're not as skilled as like those military guys that came out of the military. And they're all young now. Now they don't even come out of the military. They go to Flight International or Flight Safety International, or they come out of a aviation college, and they go to the regional airline, American Eagle, United Express, and then I don't know if they can pad logbooks like they used to do, but
So what you're saying is there's no Mavericks, Gooses, or Icemans out there no more, right?
No, they're all. I'm pretty sure that
they're getting older, anyways.
Yeah,
right?
well, the next push coming out, I'm pretty sure the next retirees, you're pretty much going to get a lot of military guys out by that point.
Well, you're saying that in all trades. To be honest, nowadays there's not kids going into plumbing because their dad's in plumbing, or truck driving, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
those are all foreigners now. There's hardly any American. I deal with it every day,
especially drywall and carpenters.
Right. Yeah. All that trade, HVAC, all of that.
Yeah, that's a shame because they can make a really good living at it.
And, I mean, somebody goes in there and applies themselves. It's a six-figure job.
Yeah,
all you have to do is go in and apply yourself.
That they have to do computers, they have to do this, and then I'm like, well, you're competing against like thousands and thousands of people for that computer job, or even nobody's going into medicine either. That's another good one that pays a ton, but yeah, they all want to be creators or influencers. I hear it all the time. We were at the Macy's Day Parade, and this kid from Seattle was in front of us, and his mom and his dad was there, and they asked him, what do you want to do? He's like, I just want to be an influencer. I'm like, well,
yeah, everybody wants to be a movie star or something too, but how many?
Be a million people.
Right. The percentage of people that succeed at it and actually make a real living is few and far between. So I ask people when they say stuff like that is, so what's going to make you stand out above the next person? That's what you have to figure out if that's something you truly want to do.
They think going crazy and doing crazy stuff, but I'm like, well, you can only go so crazy, not ending up in jail or dead. So,
well, everybody wants to be a boxer until they get punched in the mouth, right? And then they don't want to be a boxer no more. They're like, man, fuck this. I'm gonna go work at McDonald's or something. Yeah, yeah, man. Yeah. So, Mike, man, what does 2024 hold?
2024 holds me pushing high and trying to use my resources to get, like I said, my equipment out helping somebody. And if I can do that, I feel like a success on that side. And like I said, I have a new business venture going now with a corporate company that I have a lot of good opportunity with. And I haven't dedicated myself to somebody else's corporation ever. And it's nice going in there with on the ground level and having a lot of room to grow and a lot of support to do it, and not having to do all the other back end side of it too that I had to at my own corporation, where you're juggling the finances as well and all that, so I can look at the project from my angle and I can make a bunch of improvements in the project accordingly. So it's exciting. I'm working for a plumbing company. Actually, let me scratch that. I'm working for an HVAC heating and plumbing company that they have 35 years in the HVAC business, and this last year they started their plumbing division and put me in charge of it. So
nice. Now, I should know this, but where do you live?
I live in Carson City now.
Okay, out there in Nevada. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. I was going to say it, and then I'd be like, look like an idiot because I was wrong. I'd be like,
well, I was in Vegas for a long time, and I was in business myself in California for a long time, and I'm originally from Oklahoma, so the racing team is licensed and based out of Oklahoma for the most part.
Where in Oklahoma are you from? Because I was in Oklahoma a lot when I lived in Texas.
My mom lives up just above Tulsa, and my hometown. My dad lives down in southeast Oklahoma, around Idabel, Broken Bow area.
Okay, yeah. Yep. Nice. And I lived in Dallas for quite a few years, in the Dallas Metroplex, and my brother and sister still live there. So
I love it back there. It's just even when I was in the motorcycle industry, there's not a lot you can do from it. The biggest advantage from there is that you're Central USA, so going any track is a little shorter than trying to base out of California or even Nevada.
Yeah.
Was that the biggest difficulty for you when you had tuned racing? Was the traveling expense all across America?
Oh yeah, man. Well, we've had as much as like 15 crew members that we're trying to put up in rooms. So that's 5 or 6 hotel rooms. That's 3, 4, 5 rental cars. That's the rig going across as well. That's the reason why a lot of times when the budgets got thin, and that's what ultimately drove me into driving the truck, is that's money that I can cut out of the budget and I can absorb myself without it negatively impacting my bank account too. It will, other than it's taking up time.
Yeah, I can see that. That's my European buddies over there that race in BSB. That they say that's one of the big advantages of being out there, right? Because you can drive across the UK in like 6 hours, so everything's 2, 3, 4 hours away, right? Where here I'm like, dude, in 2 hours, 4 hours in Texas, man, shit, you just started the journey, like you didn't even go nowhere, man. Yeah, you're like, shit. Yeah, you got 18 more hours of Texas to go, right? You don't realize how big fucking Texas is until you drive through.
Everybody always asks me, why don't you drive the 10? Because I don't want to be in Texas that long.
Yeah.
The 40, it's 179 miles, and I'm in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I like Texas a lot, don't get me wrong, but the 10 is so boringly long that.
Yeah, I didn't go that way either. I went right through Oklahoma City.
Yeah, right.
Right out 40.
Not this guy. I was like, we're going through Texas. And I was like, yeah, this was probably a mistake. Yeah, it was.
I've done it from top to bottom because back in the day when I worked for American, my girlfriend lived in Port Lavaca, which is just outside of Corpus Christi. So normally you'd fly down there, but every now and then, since we live in Dallas, we just go down and, probably about 12 hours maybe, 10 and a half. It was nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy. So, Mike, out of all the bikes you've raced, which is your favorite bike you've raced?
I mean, Yamaha R6 is pretty much untouched when it comes to the data that's been collected off of it, how well they perform with very little done to them. In their stock form, you put good suspension on them and give it a good flash, and you can get good horsepower. For a club racer, you can't really beat that platform. There's other bikes that are getting better now. The Kawasaki is getting a lot better. In the recent years models anyways. Chuck's done a lot to develop that bike. So, but yeah, the Yamaha R6 by far is my favorite. I've ridden a lot of thousands. I was a Honda guy for the longest time, but it costs too damn much to go HRC on everything to even get the bike somewhat club race competitive. So, and try to go national with that. There's just not enough support. Yamaha dedicated, they supported the racing for a good chunk of time there, especially when I was coming out strong. They're about the only big factory. Them and Suzuki. We still had Yoshimura at the time. When I came out with my national team in 2012, those were the big guys. Then you had M4 right underneath them, which they're pretty much factory as well. So, they've all dedicated a lot to our industry to keep it alive through the slow times. And it looks like Moto America is actually starting to dig themselves up and do something good. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah, especially with baggers. Believe it or not, I mean, they're bringing a lot of people.
That bagger class is, they took, when they first talked about it, I didn't know or think that they'd go to the extreme that they have that bike in development. But you got to give it to Harley Davidson and Indian both. They both dropped some coin. And those are some real race bikes now. They're going as fast as the twins. I mean, that's
crazy.
Nuts.
It's crazy. It is.
You see them go around Daytona was crazy. They were going almost as fast as the 600s were.
They were doing like what, 180, 190 on the straights? Yeah.
The transition in the corkscrew at Laguna when you're coming off the top of that and that whole bike lifts and just and then reloads. Oh my God, my butt puckered every time those bikes squatted into the bottom of the corkscrew.
Yeah, I was waiting for the front just to go as soon as it started the bottom. He was like, "Oh no, is he gonna do it?" Yes, he did it. How the fuck did he do that? Yeah.
I've been going to Laguna since 2003, watching Rossi pass through the dirt on the inside and on Stoner. I mean, all that stuff. That was all good stuff. So I was there when Nicky brought it home. So yeah,
that's awesome.
One track I've never been to. I would love to go to, but
I went in 2005 when MotoGP first come back, when Yamaha put all that $2 million or whatever it is.
They took the wheelie bump out of the top up there before the corkscrew.
Yeah.
When they came back, because Rossi said he didn't want that sucker there anymore, or I guess a few people complained.
Yeah.
But there's still that little roller right before you turn into the corkscrew. There used to be a wheelie bump before that, back closer to the bridge. So you'd hit that, and the bike would lift, and then you set it down, and then you hit that, and then turn it. So you used to launch a lot of cars off in the corkscrew too.
Right. So what's one of your most favorite memories of when you raced? Like,
oh my gosh.
Like, is it a certain race?
No, not really. I mean, it's all the camaraderie.
Yeah.
The trophies you forget about them almost. You see it on the shelf, you're like, yeah, okay, cool. But all the people I've met, that's the best memories I can say. Joining the family and feeling so welcome and going to bike events, even years after I hadn't been riding and running into people. I mean, this shirt, I sat and talked to Earl and Homestead. I was down there in 2012, 11 or 12, and walked up. He was sitting in his booth, and I sat down and talked with him, and it was the coolest time of my life to sit there and listen to that guy talk, man. So much respect for the whole family.
Yes.
But that's one of the coolest memories I can remember as well. And I've never been a starstruck person, but when you see somebody that isn't looking to be a star and they've been influenced the country more than most other individual persons ever had, and not even by throwing his own leg over the seat, but by his offspring.
Mm-hmm.
He had 3 dedicated kids that were fucking talents, man.
Yeah.
And still are. Well,
and they're raised right. Do you know that? I mean, you see how they are. I mean, they're just. Right. Roger always. And congratulations to him on his wedding. Yeah. He found a really good one. But he would tease us. We would give him a wrath of shit back in the day. It was all for good fun. But I think he thought. Now he tells us back then he thought it was kind of serious. We were really razzing him about the Suzuki and the Suzuki sucks stuff. And, we just having a good time. And he got up on the podium one time and he said something out to us, I guess. And it was on TV. And his mom called him later and said to him something about, what are you saying on TV to those people? But
You better not talk like that, Roger. I'm gonna kick your ass. Yeah, right.
But he laughs when he tells us that, and yeah, now he knows it was all in good fun. But
right. Well, racers they get a little heated and temperamental and stuff too. Especially in the heat of coming off a race and being right there and not quite grabbing it, and then somebody pokes the bear a little bit. They're gonna get aggravated.
Of course,
it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's all the.
And you guys are super fans anyway, so if you can poke the bear of anything, you guys will be able to. I tell you.
Yeah.
But it's all good fun.
I mean, that's
for sure.
Point of what we are just trying to, like you said, same thing. About getting the camaraderie, and that's what we loved about it. And just bringing more people in, so it would continue. Because we were a little worried about Motor America there, after a few years there, but now they seem like they're finally starting to grow there.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, it did look sad there for a little while. We have like 6 races that one season or a couple of seasons. It was BMG. Yeah, it was.
Well, it started to be the same problem was the Mladen years. Is why why are you gonna pay money when you know who's gonna win the race before you go? Like people just it's kind of like going to a baseball game knowing that or NASCAR knowing that back in the day Gordon was going to
win a Tyson fight.
Yeah,
a Tyson fight.
You got all this money for 15 seconds till he knocks the guy out.
Right.
Yeah.
But now they have other the other classes are coming up and fun to watch, and so that makes it it's not just Superbike anymore. People really want to watch twins, because they're banging in each other, and
Junior Cup,
the Junior Cups, and now
the twins is really, if you break down that bike, it's a builder's class, and there's a lot of money being spent on them motorcycles. When you take a bike that's normally putting out 40, 50 horsepower and you're squeezing 100, 102 out of it, things are built to the hilt on them, and those bikes are a lot more than what meets the eye, I can tell you.
Yeah, it's so when they first started that class, it was supposed to be an entry level, low cost budget racing. Now it turned into this almost like the Formula Extreme class.
Exactly. They can do pretty much anything they want within certain guidelines, and that allows a lot. I mean, they're doing, like I said, they're doubling the power. So anytime you take a motorcycle and you double its horsepower out, but you're doing a significant amount of things that the factory did not plan on.
Right.
Yeah, let's face it, you got guys that aren't ever going to get the Superbike, but they could be a champion still. I mean, that's their goal. And this is a class that they can be a champion, and so.
No, it makes sense, but I just feel like too in our sport that if they actually had classes that wasn't so expensive where people could actually get in and race, I think it would help.
We do though. That's club racing.
Yeah.
But I know. Yeah, you're right.
But we don't need that at the national level, because all it does is devalue it. We need the guys that work their way through club racing and get to that class, so that one, they provide quality entertainment,
right?
Being a big part of it, and two, I feel like in the national level, you have to earn it a little bit. You have to put in not only the time fast behind the fucking bars, pardon my French, but making your pits look good, and not showing up with scattered. It was the world's worst when I'm spending 2 hours time to set up a rig and have everything in its place, and then they throw a little treader behind me, and those guys got shit scattered everywhere, and it looks like hell.
Yeah.
It devalues the real estate, if you will. And I don't want to talk bad about it. I want every club racer to make it do that, but at the same time, you've got to learn certain things to get through. You don't just get hired out as a VP of a corporate company until you know how to walk the walk.
Yeah,
no,
that's
agreed.
what
100%.
Yeah, me too. That's a thing that I kind of see a little bit wrong with kind of like Moto3 and Moto2 now. It's like you see these riders jumping up classes. I feel like Pedro said it, dude. I'm not going to MotoGP till I win this championship. That's my golden ticket to get into that. Right? Nobody deserves to get there because they're the best, the elite of the elite. Right?
Right. Who wants to move up just to be a filler? Who wants to be a grid filler?
That's the mentality of today. Where our generation came up as, you got to put in the work. You've got to get there.
Right.
We didn't come from participation trophies. Yeah. Now everyone thinks just because they show up, they're supposed to be there. They don't have to earn it. They just have to, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, so I get a check.
Be there. Yeah.
Right.
Right. And that's the problem. It's just not just racing, but it's really anything in life anymore with kids. I mean, I see it everywhere. They show up for work and they're like, well, I showed up for work. well, you still got to work.
Yeah.
So, but
my grandpa told me something that rode with me pretty tight, and he said it doesn't matter whether you're doing brain surgery or sweeping floors. The quality of work you do is a reflection of you yourself. Like if you're sweeping the floor shitty, you're being a shitty person right now, basically. And you need to shape up.
Yeah,
100%. And that sounds like someone would say that from Oklahoma for sure. But that's just how it is. I mean, but that's it. It doesn't matter what you do. If you do it poorly, then it just reflects on who you are. And it doesn't matter if you become a VP, or a president of something, you're gonna be crappy because you don't have the wherewithal, or even a racer. You can be lazy and you're not gonna push, and you're gonna be dangerous.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you gotta want it. You really do, right? You really gotta want it to do it. That's what separates the elite from us mere mortals. I mean, just to be honest, right?
Well, and then even more so, it separates society, really. I mean, there's people that want it, and there's people that want it given. And different societies handle those people different ways. So,
yeah, that's true. That's true. So, how do you feel about Marquez going to Ducati, Mike?
I think it's good to see him get off a Honda.
Me too.
Everybody always talks a lot of crap, this, that, and the other. But remember when Rossi switched from the Honda over to Yamaha? And then he turned around and made Yamaha work. That's true testament to him as a rider and a development rider as well. So, I have mixed feelings about Mark just because, all the shit he's gotten himself into. But he is a talented rider. And sometimes you got to step back and readjust. And maybe this Ducati ride's just that for him.
Yeah, I think that so I said this, I think it might have been yesterday, that Ducati put themselves in a predicament this year, especially with Jorge Martin, because the factory team didn't want Jorge to win the title, because then they'd have to do a bike swap, because they don't want a number one plate on a satellite bike, right? Even though we all know it's a factory bike, but it's not factory colors, right? So I'm thinking to myself, because I had a feeling Mark was going to leave, right? But part of me was like, he ain't gonna fucking leave. There's no way. But he did, right? And I was like, if Mark leaves, he gets on this Ducati, and he is like the old Mark, right? They put themselves in a worse predicament, because now you got Marc Marquez on a Ducati. Pecco's, I mean, dude, everybody's in trouble, right? So if Mark wins his title, it's the same scenario as this year. Will they put him on the factory bike and move Enea out, right? I mean, there's a lot going on to that, but it's going to be an interesting year. Luca to Honda, HRC, right? So he's following the footsteps of his brother, but I think it's an important move. A lot of my friends disagreed with me, Mike and Mark, about, no, Luca needs to stay. Dude, that's his brother's team. He'll always get paid, have a good paycheck, this and that. I was like, dude, listen, if I love Rossi and Luca too, but if Luca wants to separate himself from that shadow of Rossi, he needs to do this. I think it was the best thing for him to do, 100%, which is exciting to see. It's going to be a good year, right?
I'm pretty stoked about it.
Yeah, me too, man. It's going to be, dude, so many faces change and teams. It's going to be, same thing with World Superbike, right? So Top Rack on the BMW, right? That's going to be a really
and Jonathan good on the Yamaha now.
Yeah. And Axel Bassani on the Kawasaki. It's going to be, man, it's good.
It's good to change that stuff up too. It's good for the sport.
I'm also glad to see Pirelli in Moto2 and Moto3 instead of Dunlop. I'm glad they actually changed a manufacturer tire brand. I think it just brings a different, how do I want to say it, dynamic to the teams, to where now you got all this data setting up a bike with Dunlops, right? So Mike knows this, Mark too, that you swap tire brands on a bike, your suspension changes, because one tire is taller than the other tire, even though they're both 120/70s. One's a taller profile, right? So now the geometry of your bike's going to change. You got to reset the suspension up, yada yada yada.
Yeah, tire pressures, everything. Footprint changes up.
Yep, the way it feels in the corner and all that. Yep.
I'm a Dunlop rider and I love Dunlop tires, but at the same time, I'm with you. I like seeing a different manufacturer pop in there. Honestly, I believe that it'd make road racing cheaper to the competitor if we had that competition in the paddock again. Our largest expense, or one of the largest expenses for the weekend, is tires. I mean, a super sport rider is going through $3,600 in tires a weekend. Yeah, so imagine running 4 of them bikes. If we had, when we go club racing, it's much cheaper because club racing, Dunlop would help you out with tires. Pirelli will help you out with tires. Michelin, whoever it may be, they're helping you out with tires. So it's just not as profitable for the tire companies. I get that, but the tire companies aren't putting on the show. We are, and if the people can afford to put on a better show, Moto America is going to grow faster.
Yeah, that's
it's funny because you're so right, and it blows my mind. Like it's all about the dollar bill, and anything in life is about the dollar bill. But sometimes they don't think that way, and you hire these yahoos that come in with all these degrees, and they think they're going to rewrite it, and they just don't listen, and so they could make a lot more money, like what you're saying. Yeah, they could, but they somehow get it in their heads that they're going to make more money doing it the other way because the tire's more expensive and they have to sell less. It's kind of like the McDonald's deal where they sold it cheaper but a lot more, and they made a lot more money.
Well, that was the thing when Moto America first took over. They started trying to bring that European mentality with them, and Europeans really love motorcycles more so than most Americans do. Right. And that whole idea doesn't work. We're a reality TV, and I used to preach to them, until you start making the pit conversations and arguments and all this other kind of stuff and start making it like a reality TV show, you're not going to get grandma watching it trying to find out who's doing this to that next week, which is what we need. That's how you get grandma watching it. Now the new kids and staying with grandma are watching it, and our sport grows outside of all the people that already watched it, which are us that love it.
Yeah. Right.
Anybody that rides a motorcycle on the weekend more than likely is going to be watching racing this weekend as well. But none of their family members are unless they're stuck in a room with him. We need grandma and the uncle wondering how JD is going to beat whoever next week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's how they follow, is because they want to see that conflict. They want to see Josh Herron pissing somebody off on the weekend and getting a fine, because that makes them want to watch him do it more.
There's 100%.
Those kind of things are what draws people in. We're at Barber, and they just announced $150 fine and stuff that year about doing burnouts. And Braden said, "Hey, if I get on the box, can I do a burnout?" I said, "You get on the box, it'll be the best $150 we spent all year." And sure as hell, I think he got a third in that race. And turn 5, he did good. He got off the racing line, got off to the side of the asphalt, but he boiled the hell out of that tire, man. Smoked the whole turn 5 section out. It was amazing.
I remember that.
Yeah, that was the best $150 we spent that year.
Yeah. I think that, and also I think everybody's too nice, right? Like, we need to see rivalries. Like, I don't care. You're not going to win today because
the Petrucci thing with the elbows,
right?
Dude, all of dude. We need
when he rode by and flipped off, he created some of the best followers around, because there's the people that were with him, and then there's the people that hated him because of it. And sometimes bad press is good press, and we just
there's never bad press. That's
right. There you go.
You never get bad press. No. And the thing with the United States, so unlike Europe, they're not dealing with NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB. NFL right there. I mean, and that's the trick is, well, how's Moto America get around that? And I said something about, why don't we go after car people too? I mean, they're motorsports people. Most car people that come see a bike race are a little shocked. It's not what they thought. They're like, wow, these things really move. I mean, when you're turning one in Jersey and they're coming over the hump there and backing it in, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is.
What I like is when the car guys go, "What are you doing? You race in the rain?"
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I love that too. You guys ride in the rain? Like, yeah, dude. We got rain tires.
I think we had a car guy that was in Jersey, and the baggers were coming over into turn 1 and starting to back it in, and they were like flabbergasted. This big bike is coming at the speed it was coming at in the rain, and
right.
That's what I think they need to target. You're going to get the bike guys. They're kind of automatic, because it's just it's once you love it and you get bit by it, you're going to follow it. But
really it's a hook. I mean, it's like going fishing. Yeah. You get it set just in that lip just right, and there's no quitting it at that point.
Nope.
You're getting rolled all the way in.
Yep, we're
Yeah.
lifers. Yep.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Or-
But getting it out to those people in NHRA, the dirt track guys, like Pennsylvania is huge dirt track sprint cars. Every time I go, I'm always like got Motor America stuff on them, like telling people, hey, you need to go to Jersey or, but I mean, we just need to get more of those people in there, and I think they'll get hooked.
Well, you talk about it raining in Jersey, man. Boy, have I got some stories for there. One year they had to set up the rig just on, I guess it'd be the east side of the center garages, but our pit was in the grass, and it started raining. We were our flooring was 6 inches underwater. We were walking around in this stuff. That's the reason why we ended up moving over to the other side of the building on the concrete where I was all these last few years, because I complained pretty heavily. The whole team's feet were waterlogged. It was horrible that one year. But
how about when we had 2 races there? One was in April, and the other one was, in September. And in April, it would like be almost snowing. It was like snow flurries. And Bobby won that race. I was like, we all had to go get gloves, and we were all bundled up. I was like, how is he on that bike? And it's misting down, and I'm like, and it's like little flurries coming down. It was that cold.
Right.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
I've got a picture of Bryce Prince sliding through the water with creating waves coming off both sides, and he's reaching back at the bike like this, and the bike sliding behind him, cutting waves. And if you look real close, one hand was kind of off the bike like this, but his glove was still wrapped around the handlebar, and so he's gloveless with this hand, just getting through the water. It was the gnarliest picture.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I know we talked before the podcast there about Braden Ort. And when he's with you, I remember we see his dad and him in the stores, and he was always so friendly and a little guy. And then all of a sudden, I see him, I don't know, about a year and a half ago. I'm like, this guy looks like he bulked up on steroids.
Yeah, I see him doing like 500-pound deadlifts and stuff. I'm like, damn, kid. But
so he decided to get out of racing. What was the story with that? Because when he's racing, all of a sudden, next thing I know, he's out, and he's really heavy into it. And
you start thinking about where you want to be in the future, and what you truly want to be doing overall. Motorcycles are a huge passion of Braden's and a lot of people's, but he also wanted to be successful and a professional and something else professional. And he was looking at plastic surgery, and he had a bad crash. And I've got a crooked finger myself, and he ground a good chunk of his hand. And his mom told him, he said, just told him to evaluate. That's a good thing about his family. They gave him good advice, and it's an amazing family. I love the family. But she didn't tell him no. She just made him think about it. And Braden's a smart dude. Back then he was a smart kid. Now he's a smart guy. So he's pushing forward, and it allowed him to start working out. He didn't have to worry about his weight when you're not riding motorcycles and trying to be a pro at that. So
he packed it on, that's for sure. I was like,
my guess is he found out girls liked it when he was big and bulky. So
right,
being in college and whatnot, you gotta.
I'm thinking about it.
You're gonna do what you got to do.
Yeah. Hey, round is a shape. They keep saying you're out of shape because you're round. I'm like, round is a shape. What school you go to?
Hey, ladies are all about the dad bods these days. That's my wife.
Yeah, thank God Amy likes dad bods.
Yeah, except for Jason Momoa, whatever his name is, dude. My wife's always talking about him. Oh, I love him. Blah 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, okay, yeah. But you love me, and I'm a little round, right? So yeah,
right.
That's
all
awesome.
shapes and sizes.
Right. So
my grandfather used to say that when you get older, it drops from your chest to your drawers.
Yeah, it does too. Yeah, but this is what my dad said.
I bit my tongue on that one because there's all kinds of sayings that roll along with that.
Listen, I was getting ready to go to one. My dad was like,
it's a podcast,
it's not better. My dad said, one day your wife flashes you like this, right? He said, after a couple years, your wife's gonna flash you like this.
Well, she has to lift up her skirt to flirt.
Yeah, right. I see the nipple down there at the bottom now. Yeah, it's awesome.
When it's looking to see if your shoes are untied.
Right. That's just my third eye. Everybody's got a third eye, right? But I got 4. Yeah, it's good stuff, man.
I got my little guy here with me. He's watching the show.
Oh, he's so cute. What's his name?
Ernest Hemingway.
Oh, look at you.
Take it.
This is my wife's little guy, but since I lost my pup a few weeks ago, he's been lonely and hanging out with me a lot. So. Yeah. I didn't tell you guys. You guys know Junior, my big boy that was with me at all the races and all that stuff. I lost him a few weeks ago due to old age and some cancer. So yeah, it was a tough little time. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was such a positive influence and impression on so many people. You know, I'm very fortunate to look back and realize how much my dogs helped pull me through and kept me where I could focus on racing. I couldn't focus on women enough when I'm racing and had dogs to take care of. So we kept pushing through it all, you know?
Yep, they do that. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, dogs are amazing. I've been down that road. Yeah,
2 Labradoodles, and the one passed away about a year ago. So
but the love for animals, it is, man. It's one of the roughest things you ever go through, right? But then, you know, because I was like, I'm gonna get another dog. I'm just not sure when. And then I guess when you're ready for it, you go get another one, and it starts all over again, right? You fall right back in love. They're your side companion. They go everywhere you go. So excited to see. It's just like what was the saying? So put your dog in the trunk and open him after 2 hours. See how happy he is to see you. Then do that with your wife and see how happy he should see you after the 2 hours. Right? It's not gonna end too well on the wife part, right? So.
Yeah, that's a good analogy, though. I like that one.
Yeah.
One of my mentors, or a good friend of mine, his name is Donnie Graves, and when I lost Junior's dad, actually back in 2015, I was in Pennsylvania when it happened, and it was a really rough one on me. And he'd made a suggestion to me that once my pups are gone, that until I'm ready to have mine own again, that I really should dedicate some time in some of these rescues and whatnot. And there's a lot of rescues out there that could use some help, even in just getting attention, and getting some people in there to help support them. And there's a lot of good pups out there that could use some help. So I'm hoping that maybe I can put a little effort into that over this next year or so.
Yeah, that's something.
I'm not ready to have another one again. I got my little Ernest here, and outside of that, I'd just like to help some of them find some good forever homes.
Yeah, take some time. That's what I did.
It's hard because you get it really. I mean, it's like an attachment like nothing else. And then I mean, they're always happy to see you. They're and they depend on you for everything.
Yeah. You know what? One thing that put it in perspective for me is, you've heard of their life cycle, or it's 7 to 1 as far as dog years and whatnot. But put that down in the minutes and hours. So when you leave for an hour, they feel like you've been gone 7.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When you've been gone for an 8-hour day, they feel like you've been gone for 8-hour days. You know what I mean? So that's why they're so excited to see us. And we have all this other life outside of them, but they're stuck at home waiting for us to get back, man. We're their life.
Yeah.
And I'm really close to my pups, and I've been very fortunate to have some really good ones. So.
Yeah, me too. I would love. So I'm a sucker for animals. I love, like, if I hit the lotto, I had millions of dollars, dude. I would go down to every kennel in my town and get every dog, bring them to my house, and just let them run and feed them and love every single one of them. I got
Jurassic Park of pups,
right? The Jurassic Park old dogs. I don't care if they're old and they get ready to die, man. I will love them, feed them ice cream, bacon, whatever they want, just to make them happy, right?
Right.
It's that's the type of person I am, man. I would love to be able to do that. Unfortunately, I can't, but I do go to dog kennels. I don't buy dogs. I get them for free. And I go down there and I let them pick me. I don't pick them, right? I might be like, oh, I really want a Rottweiler, right? But I might end up with a Shih Tzu. Yeah, I mean, right? I just let them pick me because I feel like if it's meant to be, it'll be that way instead of going out spending $3,500 on a freaking dog and all
a
this
designer dog. Yeah, well, that's why Westby's so cool, because they in the paddock there they have water and treats and their little bandanas for the dogs, and I thought it was so cool.
You look out for them too. Well, that's one good thing about Junior. I take him to the racetrack. He always went to Laguna and Sonoma with me, those areas, because it's close to home. It's easy for us. And I never had to use a leash on him. I'd put the flooring down, put the tent up, and just tell him to stay on the flooring. And that dude would just stay in there. He'd wait for us to get back. He's always there. But he's a good guy.
It's like Dara Lar, his dog Sky. She's an old lady now, but she just lays around. Not on leash. It goes up to everybody. Sits in the in the food tent and. So well behaved, but she travels everywhere. She gets to see everything, which
Yeah,
is
that's
really cool.
That's the problem with my team, though, compared to some of these. That a lot of the guys, they drive their motorhomes back and forth every event. Well, me, to cut budget, I could cut 10,000 miles out of my budget by driving to the next round, parking and prepping there, and then flying home. And the whole fly home is what limited Junior's ability to make all the events with me.
Yeah. So tracks would let you in like weeks in advance, and
Oh yeah. But some tracks charge you, like Wisconsin. It costs us $250 to store there for a couple of weeks, up to a month. And some tracks are free. Jersey is great because you can pay like $250 a month storage fee there, and that be that. Some tracks charge you per day, no matter what. Some tracks don't charge you at all. Pittsburgh's great. It's $20 a month there.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
right?
but now we don't go there anymore.
Yeah,
Right.
but we are going back to Mid Ohio, which is good.
Yeah, Mid Ohio's a fun track.
Yeah. And what's that new one that they're building in? Was it in Tennessee?
I haven't heard about that.
I never heard about that.
Yeah, they're building a new racetrack. I'm pretty sure it's in Tennessee. I'll send you guys the article. They're building, supposedly building a brand new racetrack. So, and then they're actually trying to get, since the American team took over. What's the name of that American team that just took over RNF Aprilia and MotoGP? Trackside, Trackhouse.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
They said that they want 2 rounds of MotoGP in America, but we only got one track that can host a MotoGP race, right? Which is Texas. Do you think any other tracks around here could hold a MotoGP event as far as garage facilities and all that?
Are you talking about on the East Coast or West Coast?
Anywhere in the United States.
Well, Laguna, with very little modification, can. It has for multiple years. The problem is them coming to a decision on who gets what money, and I think there's a lot of politics that come into play with that. Laguna could easily do it. There's without a doubt.
Is there rumors that like people that live out there don't want that track there anymore? I thought someone said something to me
better or lack of words, but there's idiots that live everywhere, and some of these idiots live on Laguna Seca Way and bitch about the racetrack. So
okay, that's right.
If you're gonna, I don't have any sympathy for them. Well, before you move anywhere, you should be surveying the area and not expect the area to adapt to you.
Right. Absolutely. I'd be happy if I get a house on Laguna Seca Way. You know what that property's probably worth?
Right. Well, I've seen it happen though, and I've seen tracks get shut down in Bakersfield, California. They had Mesa Marin Raceway. It was a circle track, NASCAR track, asphalt. People literally living on Mesa Marin Way bitched and complained about it. The track had to shut down and move all the way across town and spend $10 million or something to even get the doors rolling again. And overall, it came down to people moving in within the vicinity of it and bitching about the noise.
That's what we go back to aviation. That's what happened at O'Hare. So O'Hare had a lot of northeast, different angled runways, and people that had homes that knew they bought it in the flight path decided to complain. So they reconfigured the runways at O'Hare. So now they come in more from the east to the west. So they come on over Lake Michigan, over the city and land, and from the south to the north more. It's not, they pretty much did like everything else, crisscrossed it.
Yeah.
That's the problem is that we cater to a few.
Not to the masses, just to the one percenters. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We're catering for that small percentage of society rather than what's better for the.
But they allow them to have the biggest mouth, which I don't get.
Yeah,
it's like, why do they have the biggest platform?
Because we don't laugh them out of existence. If they came at us and we actually started laughing and patting our bellies and going, "Man, you must be a special kind of stupid," then they turn around and march back to their house with their tail between their legs. But we don't. Because we have somebody in this part of society going, "Oh, you poor thing."
Yeah.
Well, I can't believe that. It's just not right in our society. We should not have to deal with that kind of thing.
That's right.
Even though it's the 2% that actually bought underneath the run, or the flight path.
Yeah. Chicago O'Hare is one of my least favorite airports to go to. I just don't like Chicago. And down,
Well,
I mean,
DFW is probably worse if you land all
Dulles,
the way in Grapevine, and then you gotta take 3 hours of taxi to the gate.
yeah,
I mean,
I have to agree. The old Dallas I like better when it was a horseshoe.
yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
And that's when I worked there back in the 90s when we had just the 2 terminals for American and you had the 1D terminal for Delta.
It was great. I was a kid traveling through there, and you'd be walking through it and walk past the chapel. They actually had a wedding chapel in DFW. And I watched somebody get married there one year. It was awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yep.
It was almost like a mini Vegas, but at the airport.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, you want to go to the airport and get married, honey? Yeah, why not? Let's go, right?
Well,
And we catch a flight out. Yeah.
Right.
Maybe they met on the
Then we'll go on
airplane.
our honeymoon. That's the proper
actually
thing to do
brilliant.
anyways.
Yeah.
Spend that money on the honeymoon.
Man, that's a good idea, man. I don't see why airports don't do more stuff like that, because that's actually a pretty good idea. Get married at the airport.
I mean,
hop on a plane.
They'll get you an Elvis costume. You could do it at the airport with Elvis. So
That's what I'm saying, dude. What dude, like package deal marriage, $3,000, $3,500.
So we could do like pin the gas chapel.
Yeah,
Get a
in
little
the
room
gas
there,
chapel.
and, like,
Yeah,
you
we
know,
can get you. Yeah. We have 2
get different
motorcycles.
costumes. You get different
that you
different
guys
rider
get to sit
suits.
on.
You know, if
Yeah,
you want to be a
yeah.
rider for the day.
That would be, yeah. Hey, that'd be awesome, man. It would be. And my microphone's so sensitive. If I barely like touch it, it cuts off. But get away from motorcycles, man. Do you read books at all? Are you a reader or?
well, I'm not one of those that I sit down 3 days a week and try to knock out a novel, but I do a lot of self-education books like E-Myth Revisited, things that make you think about how you're thinking about business or life. You know, that book helped redesign the way I thought about life rather than about what it actually talks about. I mean, you're talking about franchising businesses, even if you don't plan on franchising them, but more so to create the way of life that you project rather than a business that buries you in it. And, you know, anybody like me, myself, that started a business based off of passion and motorcycles and love is not, ends up going through a lot of growing pains and issues that this book talks about, and allows you to rethink how you need to go about it to make it produce the way of life that you want to be able to keep chasing motorcycles or keep chasing what you love in life. You know,
Yeah.
We go to work to produce a dollar to provide life, not to provide a way that we have to just be buried in work. We live to work, or we don't want to live to work. We want to work to live.
We want to work to live. Yeah.
And that,
Facts.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Any passion design business, it's real easy to get trapped into living to work situation.
Well, plus the American way is, you know, you're considered a success here if you have a huge bank account, like you get a CEO. And a lot of people don't know, but I was a fireman for about 7 years, and we had a CEO in the back of the ambulance having a heart attack, and he said, you know, I'm a success because I got lots of money. I've got 3 houses, and he was a pretty big corporation. And here's this guy is by himself in the back of an ambulance, tearing up, and he told us, he said, that makes me a success, but I don't. My wife's probably cheating on me. Don't really know her that well. My kids, I don't even know my kids, you know, but I provide for them. You know, they get everything they want, but in here, I'm considered a success. He said I'm a failure because what's my money doing now? I'm laying on the gurney. What's it going to do for me? Who's here with me? Nobody.
Rich man and poor man die the same.
Yep.
Facts.
Yeah, and the thing is, it really does. You know, it seems like in the United States, because we have to take care of everybody else. Not to get political, but you know, a lot of people live to work instead of work to be able to live. I mean, you know,
right.
So, but yeah, it's, you know, I know what you're saying there.
Yeah.
So
it's easy to get wrapped up in it.
Yeah. What movies do you like? Like when you're just want to relax?
You know, all action movies. I don't watch a lot of TV, to be honest.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time on computers doing research, thinking about trying to learn new softwares. I've been, trying to teach myself a lot here lately, but and now I'm, like I said, I'm working for a corporation where I'm having to learn plumbing. When they were interviewing me for the position, I flat out told them, I said, I don't know shit about fuck when it comes to plumbing. And to be frank, you know, but I do know about projects. I know about people, and I know how to get things done. And ultimately, that's why they hired me. And I started self-educating myself into plumbing because I don't want to be the dumbest guy in the room when it comes to that kind of stuff. But it's a long ways away from motorcycles, but it's a project that I've been able to get my hands around. I have a clear starting point, and I have a clear goal of where we want this to go. And I get to build the map to get there, and that's a lot of fun.
Yeah. And just talking to you, and the most successful people never stop learning, and it sounds like you're always like trying to learn, trying to better and get more knowledge, and you're not just okay with status quo and just laying on the couch watching football all weekend and not doing anything, and drinking beer, and
Well, a lot of people know me for the last quite a few years. I having a tuning center, flashing ECUs, building fuel injection maps and timing maps and all that good stuff, launch control strategies, whatever it may be. And it's cool to step from that into a different industry to where I can still utilize a lot of the organizational tools that I've acquired and be able to produce something cool. It's just the motorcycle is a little different now, right? Now the motorcycle consists of plumbers and inspectors, and and having the timing dial just right is making sure we have all the parts on the trucks every time that they go out. There's a lot of stuff into it, but I get to
not having to pay for those trucks when they go out. That's a nice thing.
Right. Making sure that my guys are winning the race by getting there on time. There's a whole different types of racing going on, and granted, it's not the same pizzazz that I have with motorcycle racing. I sure do love it and want to make sure that I stay tied with the industry. I'm just right now I'm having to focus on my family too and make sure that my family has a good chance to keep following the industry as well.
But see, that's what's so cool, because I always ask racers, so this isn't gonna last forever, and everyone's gonna vie for a spot, and whether it's training people or trying to get their little niche in the state in the industry afterwards. But a lot of people, when I ask them, they're like, yeah, well, a few people have some pretty good ideas of where they were going to go afterwards. But then there's a few that are like, I don't know. I'm like, well, geez, this isn't going to last for, you could have a wreck. It could be over tomorrow, but, it's nice that you're able to go into another industry, taking this industry with you, and being able to apply that,
Right.
And, you're always going to be part of the paddock. Once it's
the family.
Once you're in,
once you're family, you're always family.
Yeah,
that's one of the things I loved about the paddock.
Yeah.
It's just another reset for me. I talk about my first business that I started when I was 20, but that's not the case. I bought my first car at 13 years old because when I was 12, I started mowing yards and washing cars, and I got a standard customer base where I went to their same houses every week, mowed their yards, washed their cars. And I bought a 66 Mustang and it'd be restored, but it was a running car. I was 13 years old. I drug my dad over there to get it.
That's awesome.
So I started working hard at a young age. I was fortunate enough to go into independent study in high school. So I worked 410s in construction when I finished high school up until my senior year, and I wanted to graduate the class. So I went back and took a diesel performance, automotive technology classes even throughout that time. It's just, I was always wanting to, the mechanical side of things was always my deal. I enjoyed every bit of that.
Yeah. But it's good that you did this, like you said, because now you can take care of your family. Or some people, I think, get stuck and they're like, oh, I got to do the motorcycle thing, even if it doesn't pay anything. It's like, yeah, but then your family suffers because you can't get that change. You know what I mean? And if you can make quite a bit of money here doing this, you've taken that motorcycle experience and now you're going to apply it here. And you'll still have the motorcycle stuff. It just, you might not be an owner right away or whatever, but who knows, one day, maybe make enough money here and who knows?
Yeah. Well, there are steps, right? So I've got a 5-year plan with this company. All right. If it goes past that, great. Then I'll stay for 10. But for the next 5 years, I really want to see where I can go with it. I want to see how far I can push up that ladder, because it's always been my company's, right? From the time I was 20, I've worked for a corporation, but I own the damn corporation. So even if I had people in positions over my position other than being a shareholder, I would learn to answer those people because they're running a position that require decisions to be made. And if they're in that position, I'm going to follow suit. When I was 20, I was working on big rigs and stuff, and guys would always try to talk me down in the dollar amounts and stuff. So I learned real quick. I'm just a mechanic, man. I'll run by the boss. I'll see what he has to say. That way, I didn't have to give in to him right then, and I could figure out a way to make the customer happy without giving away all my income.
Right. But that's just it. The guy that does my cars, my neighbor, they're all in the Corvette club, and he owns an automotive business. Now, all his mechanics are older guys. They're not kids. And He doesn't give anybody a break. There's no, because you're my buddy, I'm going to give you a break. Because he said I wouldn't be in business if I kept giving breaks.
Well, that's the thing, is I know a lot of
freaking good people. Service. Yeah.
I know a lot of freaking people. So if I started giving buddy breaks to everybody, I'd go upside down. But one thing I learned is the better people the less they want to take advantage. And those buddies start coming in wanting to give
they
a
want
little
to help
bit better
you,
tip.
right?
And
they actually want to help you,
right? They see that you're having a short month, and they go, "Well, I need to go ahead and get that taken care of that I've been putting off." Yeah. And they get work in there, and they're trying to pay full price because those are the people that care about you and want you in business next week.
And that's the whole point. It's throughout everything. Like Amy and I talk about this a lot. We're out, we love the tip, but if you give good service, come
on, Chris.
The people that bust the rear end.
Pause for a second. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Mark.
No, you're good. There it is. Yeah.
As you take a drink, you always do the little pause.
Yeah,
move on.
It's awesome.
Brought to you by.
Yeah, brought to you by.
Brought to you.
You know what? I didn't know that this was water.
Yeah, me neither.
Till last summer, I thought I
thought it was alcohol.
Yeah, we were coming back from the beach, and I was like, man, I'm so thirsty. And I saw it, and I was like, is this like a Red Bull type thing or something? And then I was looking at it. It says it's water, really expensive water.
Wow.
This is probably from the summer, actually.
Was it really? It's hilarious. So, who's your favorite racer of all time, Mike? What posters did you have up on your wall?
Chris Simcoe, he told me before the thing.
Rossi was always a big influence for me. So, Nicky Hayden. Nicky Hayden, you always go after. But, man, there's so many of them.
There were so many good ones.
Wayne Rainey was a stud. Yeah.
Facts.
Still is a stud, to be honest.
Yeah.
So, I fell in love with watching the bikes, watching the wiggles. A lot of people talk about the overall race, but I'm talking about corners. Did you see that one corner where all three of them were stacked 3 wide, and you seen the fronts just give, and your butt puckers when you're sitting there watching. That's the kind of stuff that I dig. Yeah. I'd rather not pick the winner of the race than pick all the exciting points and where they pushed a little past that point and then still reeled it right back in.
So would you be for racing without all electronics?
Yeah, the best racing ever was the Rossi on the 211V before it had all the electronics. That bike was gnarly. It was untouchable, especially with him on it.
They did a couple races where you're, in the season where you weren't allowed, maybe 1 or 2 races in the season were like, okay, no electronics. All the other ones, okay.
The problem is, especially MotoGP bikes and even the World Superbike, to a big part, they're so advanced now. Not having electronics, and riding something with 240 horsepower is a pretty gnarly ride, especially when you're trying to roll it on in the corner.
Yeah,
those electronics are what smooth that power delivery out. The tuning on them would have to be totally different without the electronics, because you'd have to smooth them through the fueling.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they'd be so aggressive that it would be a handful to ride for sure, and it'd be a whole lot more exciting to watch. But
because
I am for with no electronics, but they'd have to be built a little different.
Because I ask people a lot of times, would everyone's about speed. Oh, they do 220 miles an hour. I said, well, would you rather have 220 miles an hour where they're spread out, or would you rather have 180 miles where they're bumping into each other? 180 wins
bumping into each other.
Right. Yeah, who cares about 320 and they get in their 3 seconds or 4 seconds? Because then who wants to watch it? It's like, okay.
Yeah, when there's a big gap, it's like watching a football team running away with the points.
Yeah.
You're the next thing you know, you're not even paying attention until the last lap.
Right. You're like, okay, I'm time to go get some chips or something.
All right.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right. And another thing is too is the wings, man. I wish they would get rid of them freaking wings, dude, and just go back to the
Oh,
old
wait till they
school.
get bigger. It'll probably look like an airplane
I
eventually.
know, man, but dude, bikes were so much more beautiful without the wings. I mean, and it's just like my buddies, all the wings this, wings that. I said, well, then why did it take them 8 years to beat Jorge Lorenzo's track record if the wings are
Correct.
so much better and so much faster, right? All it did is fuck up our sport as far as breaking.
Because you
and
got some
passing and all
Yahoo
that
trying to keep a
bullshit.
job, trying to reinvent the wheel, and
Mhm.
If
like
you want
anywhere
Formula
else.
One, watch Formula One. We're not Formula One,
No.
you know.
No, well, Formula One, they get taken out by manhole covers, so
Yeah, did you see that?
What a joke, right? Come on,
who-
man. What
who
a
did
joke
not-
that was.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
the billions of dollars they spent on that race, and it wow.
And someone didn't tack that down.
And locals couldn't even afford to go watch it.
You know, I mean,
And the money's so insane anymore. Like, why would you even wait? I mean, it's almost like the amount of money one team has to spend. It's like, what do you get out of it? Seriously, because the ticket's like $5,000. And I knew people were going to Miami. I'm like, I wouldn't pay $5,000 to watch a MotoGP race. It wouldn't do it. It wouldn't be.
No, I spent $5,000 for the weekend, but
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
depending on
not.
where you're traveling to.
Yeah, if you got to go on in the
Yeah.
back and see people,
Right.
but yeah, just
Indianapolis was a cool MotoGP
Dude,
track.
I went to
One
Indy
there was cool.
every year except for the last one. Matter of fact, man, after this, I'm gonna take my laptop because we'll stay on for a few minutes, Mike. When we end this, I will take you in there. I have a big ass cardboard of Nikki Hayden on it. It says inaugural 2008 MotoGP inaugural year at Indy. Man, so we walked in our hotel. I seen this big sign because, man, we had this long ass drive. I said, man, I'm going to get me a beer. Dad, you go check in the hotel. You know, I'll meet you up there. And as soon as I walk in the bar, I seen this big sign, and immediately, me being this fanboy, I say, who's the manager? They're like, oh, blah, 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 blah. So he comes out. I was like, hey, I'm Simcoe. I just got here. I want this cardboard cutout. He's like, I can't give it to you. Come back at the end of the weekend. I said, well, can I put my name on the back of it so nobody else claims it? He's like, dude, I said, I'll give you $50 to make sure that nobody takes this. He's like, I got you. I can't sell it to you. I got you. Just come back. So Sunday morning, before we went to the track, I went straight down the hotel, right down to the bar. And I was like, hey, man, it's Sunday. Is it cool if I go ahead and load this up? He's like, I'll tell you what I'll do. You can't move it just yet. After the start of the race, I'll put it in the back. When you come back, it'll be back there. You just come straight in and I'll let you get it. And I got it hanging up on my wall. I was not leaving that back there. I was like, nope, I'm coming home with this cardboard cutout. It was awesome. Me and my dad went. It was funny because my wife was pregnant with my son. See, he was born in 12. And when I go to the track, I'm such a fan. If anybody's ever went to the track, well, I met Sherman this year at the track, right? I'm all over the place. I cannot sit still. I got to go talk to this person. I got to go see him when the race is going on. I got to go to this corner and watch and see what he's doing in this corner versus this corner, you know, because I'm like you, Mike. I like the technical side of riding, right? It's like, like when Jake Gagne was at VIR, was coming out of 17A and 17B, there's that little bump, right? That little dip that goes in. But the way he approached that, the way he stood the bike up, but still leaned out. Nobody else did it the way he was doing it through there. And therefore, that's where he was making a lot of time up, was that one freaking corner. And I was pointing my buddy out. I was like, what is he doing different? And it took him a while till I pointed it out, right? But yeah, it was. But anyway, with the story, my dad was with my wife, and my wife's like, everybody kept looking at me and your dad like he's this old, like, what do you call it? Not pedophile, but like this old rich man with this young wife, you know, pregnant wife walking around. Cause bro, I'm everywhere. I'm here, I'm there, I'm getting autographs and pictures and doing this and doing that. And yeah, dude, I'm just such a fan of the sport that it's I got to take it all in. I'm not that person just to sit at one spot in one chair in one corner 3 days a weekend, man. Nah, I'm everywhere. Right. And I feel like you get the most out of it when you do that. But you're right. Indy was such a cool track, a gasoline alley, to be there at Indy and physically the first time walk through gasoline alley and see all the garages and all. Dude, is
where they make us pull the rigs in, man. It was so tight. A friend of mine was in the rental car watching me pull in, and it looks like you're literally wedging the semi truck into the concrete. It's a cool place. I mean,
It is.
All
I
the
would love to
history
see him
there.
back. I know. I'd love to see him come back to Indy. I don't know if they ever would, but it would be cool because I thought it was a different layout. You know, it was different. You got to utilize at least some of the long straightaway.
Yeah.
And man, let's just be honest, right? We've been to a lot of different racetracks, right, in America and overseas. The sound at Indy when the MotoGP bikes, dude, there's no other track that gives you that fucking dude. It was like so loud and it ricocheted off everything. It's insane.
Yeah. Well, in that day, they were running the exhaust was a little different too on the GP bikes. They just seem a little extra loud to me. You know, it reminds me if they'd run, let's say Daytona, it'd be that same type of experience, I think.
Yeah, you're
in
right,
that bowl. Oh yeah,
yeah, dropping out of 4, and down it in the front straightaway. I mean, hell, I think I was 177. I think is what they got me on a 600 coming down that front straightaway.
Ball.
I had Aguilar. I think he weighed $135 at the time. He did 188 on the same build bike. Bryce was in the 180s too, but I mean, I'm a fairly decent sized guy, and I cut weight down to like 185 for that weekend. So, but I still outweighed them by 50 plus pounds, I think.
I mean, that just goes to show how fast a proper 600 is. I mean, 188 miles, dude. Think about 10 years ago, dude. 1,000 was barely hitting 190 miles an hour, right?
Right.
I mean, that's freaking crazy, bro. So let me ask you this, man. Celebrity crush. Do you have a celebrity crush?
Oh, yeah. Jessica Biel from Seventh Heaven. Yeah,
I like it.
I think she'd be the one I had to talk the wife into the free pass on if there's such a thing,
Right. Yeah, that's good. Free passes. Meanwhile, I've had that conversation. Hers is Gary Allen, the country singer. She loves Gary.
Oh,
Allen.
really?
Yes. She's like, if Gary Allen invited me back to the hotel, I'm just letting you know I'm going. I'm like, hey, if he ever asks you, by all means, boo-boo, have fun, right? Yeah, absolutely. But I get a pass too. And we just laugh at
right.
how often is that really gonna happen, right? Like celebrity.
Yeah. The whole idea, I was asking the wife the other day, remember that movie Indecent Proposal?
Oh my God.
So, babe, what if this rich old lady wanted me to go spend the weekend with her for $1 million? What would you say? She said, pack a bag.
Bring it all back in cash. That's it. Bring it all back, baby. Let's go.
Right. I was like, ouch. I feel so cheap.
She's pimping you out already.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Hey, pimping ain't easy is what they say, is it?
She's the likelihood of any woman wanting to give you $1 million for that. It's not very high. So she cut me back down to size there real quick.
Right. Hey, it's a nice thought though, right?
Right.
Yeah, I feel you, man. I feel you on that. Man, listen, guys, we've been at this almost 2 hours. It don't even seem that long. It's
No,
always flies.
It does.
Yeah.
Man. It goes by so quick. But listen, I would love to do this again with you, Mike. Have you back on. There's still a lot we could talk about. Man, I feel like
we got a little distracted there a few times.
But this is what's so awesome about a podcast, man. It's like you go all over the place, and it's just you find out the common interest you have with the guys you're sitting down with talking to, and it goes from aliens. Like, do you believe in aliens? Are you a skeptic? I mean, this is part of that I love to do is also find like personal way from the motorcycles, right? Because I think it brings an element to where people can actually connect to you on a personal level and get to know you as the real person, not tune racing owner and yada,
not
yada,
the polished look that
man,
present to everybody.
Peel the layers back and get to know Mike, but yes, there's so much more we still got to talk about. We will definitely save it for next time for sure.
Yeah, I'm down. It's been a great time. You guys are always been good to talk with. So
good, man. I appreciate it, man. And what an honor, man. So listen, before we get off here and before we end this, Mike, is there anything you would like to say to anybody out there? How can somebody get in touch with you to get some advice on racing or your program or anything?
The easiest way would probably hit me up on Facebook or Instagram. You can find my racing pages there as well as my personal. None of it's restricted, so send me a message. And if anybody needs any advice on, what they could do to make their team have better presence, what they can do to get in the paddock, I'll help them with all that. So all the advice I can think of. And if somebody has a pretty good program going and they want to step it up, or they're wondering why they're not getting sponsorship. I've done a lot of studying on that too. The biggest mistake everybody always makes is what they need. They need to start asking what that company needs to be able to give some money away.
Yeah.
Yep, that's 100% right.
Yeah, because you got to prove your worth. If you want the company
Right.
to give you some money, you got to show them why you want them to get what you're worth, and them giving.
Well,
you,
what's it
you
worth
know,
to
whatever.
them?
Right.
What are
Yeah,
they getting?
that's exactly
It's their
it.
money. What are they getting? What's their value
Yeah.
they're getting for
They
their
could
money?
give a shit what you need to go racing. What they
Right.
do care about is what they stand to benefit.
Right.
So if you can actually develop the whole scenario around what the deliverables you're giving to them, rather than what you need to go racing, they'll actually provide what you need to go racing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can always go to marketing.
Yeah.
If you don't
Well,
want to do
I've talked about it,
plumbing.
but
Yeah.
without foreign or formal education, no matter what I've done with my team, that still hinders getting certain positions.
And right there is the problem with today.
Right.
If that piece of paper doesn't do anything. We used to get guys that come out of fire academy, go to the fire academy, they got degrees in fire engineering, and the old guys would come in and say, you know what, paper doesn't put out fire. They had no clue what they were doing.
Yeah.
But they got sold on, you gotta go spend $200,000 on education. They're the dumbest people that come out sometimes.
To be honest, because of what I've been able to do with my prior businesses, that's why I have the position I have now, and why I'm stoked. Even though it's outside of the industries I've been in, it's something that I can really grow with. So,
but you have real life experience.
Right.
That goes past anything. I'm not talking about being a doctor or a lawyer. Yes, you have to have that higher education for that. But I'm just talking about in general. Nothing beats experience. Nothing.
Right. We learn how to put the Band-Aids on better by doing it than we do by reading about it.
Exactly.
Even being a doctor.
Right. Yeah, it's all hands on. That's how I learn the best anyways, hands on. You can sit there and put me in a classroom and read all this shit, and I'm like a deer in headlights, like, what the fuck is this guy even talking about? Then you take me out and say, this is how you do it, put my hands on it, and I'm like, boom, click, boom, there it is. I got it.
Right.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, sometimes we need those projects to nip our fingers, or until you're learning how to pull a Band-Aid off, you can read about it until you're actually pulling it off and see which way the hair is going. One way is going to hurt more than the other, right? Sometimes we got to pull it against the grain once to learn that you got to pull the opposite way.
Yeah, but that's part of life, man, and that's what we love about it, right? Is all. Hey, Mike, you forgot, right? Yeah, I go like this. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my bad.
You ready?
Waiting for that logo.
There it is.
You want to see Tune Racing in the paddock? Help me get a logo right here.
You guys listen. You heard it, man. Anybody wants to help Mike out, let's do it. But yes, listen, I just want to give a go ahead, Mike.
Oh, I was just going to say, if there's a way for me to put it back in a paddock and ensure that my family's good, taken care of, I'm on top of it. And right now I'm just trying to keep the equipment in the paddock till, those breaks happen and we can make stuff work. There's a lot of good teams out there though. If people are looking to spread their money and get a little tax write-off, a lot of these teams don't know. I suggest people, these corporations, even the small ones, think about how you can stand to benefit. Get a good team up that's actually putting some effort into their social media and that kind of stuff, and say, I'd like to help you out. There's a lot of people at this time of year right now too that's saying, oh crap, I'm gonna have to pay this much in taxes. How can I get this written off? And there's certain ways that you can go about the sponsorships and be able to write it off. And there's certain ways that you're just pissing the money away. So do it now, do it well, and help some of these kids out that have a chance to really go in the future. Somebody got signed for $700 million the other day. Who is that for? Anyway, is a professional athlete, $700 million. And I look at our kids right now. Yeah. I'm looking at our kids spending money to go risk their lives to go around these racetracks with a small chance to be able to go to the world level and higher. We need to, as a society, say, you know what, instead of pissing this money away, the company I work for now probably spent $20,000 in just Christmas gifts. I had my Christmas party last night. And to think that could go out to, little pieces of money like that go out to really change a kid's life or multiple kids' life and generate a different trajectory in their life success. I suggest, I encourage corporations to think of helping these kids learn about marketing, learn that the direction that they're thinking isn't the direction that corporations want to go. We need to teach these kids. Don't think about you. Think about how to generate what you need. And that's by providing a service or something to these guys. So I don't mean to preach on about it, but there's a lot of good kids out there that need help, that don't have the reach or the family member, the family connections that it takes. And, they need all of us to help.
Yeah, it's just like the old saying goes, right? My mom always said, and my grandma, it takes a village to raise a kid, right? It also takes a village to raise one racer. It really does. It's the same principle, right? So Peter Marsh, which is dude, I love Peter Marsh. His son races, which is a good mate of mine, Jake, out there in BSB in the GP2 class. They actually run my logo, and it's such an honor to be in BSB. I'd never thought in a million years, dude, that I would be on a race bike, much less in my favorite series. It's every time I talk about it, I just get this smile on my face, like, but anyway, Peter Marsh, big shout out to him. He says, I'm with you there, Mike. Finding a way of getting people involved is proving difficult. It really is. But you're right. There's so much that companies can step up and help out in the sport. Even $10,000, like you said, Mike, it's a write-off at the end of the year, and yeah, you change somebody's life.
And I don't mean to go political either, but you can either pay it in taxes and watch it go overseas, or you can actually give it to a local racer here and watch it go around the racetrack and do something.
Facts.
They found it unconstitutional to give away tax dollars for any sort of that kind of thing back in the early 1900s, and how we've gotten around it now, I don't know. But if we're going to actually be spending our hard work and money, this should be improving the things that we care about in this world. One, homeless veterans. You hear about Social Security running out of money, but you don't ever hear about the veterans being taken care of no matter what. You hear about Social Security's helping our elderly out, and they're talking about, and we voted it down multiple times, about like the social kid security where these kids are receiving money. No, hell with that. The parents need to be planning on taking care of them kids, and the fact that they can't, we have other social programs to take care of that. But what about our veterans?
Yeah, we don't take care of them.
What about? I mean, that's a major part of society that we need to be.
But they'll take care of anybody that crosses the border and goes into a city. It's just ridiculous. I mean, we have it here where I live. They're all on these corners with the signs, and they have perfect writing, perfect penmanship, and they have Venmo apps.
I mean, we could go long rounds in another 2 hours on that kind of stuff. And
for sure.
I definitely want to keep the focus on our young kids and the money that we should be putting towards 100%. Them. And if 100%. We can actually get the same kind of write-off and not have to send it to Uncle Sam to go overseas, and we can put it in the racing account of one of our young, talented athletes, let's make sure that we can go that direction.
100%.
I couldn't have said it better myself. You are absolutely right. It's yeah, man. So hopefully there's companies out there that want to get involved. If there's have any questions, man, reach out to Mike.
The most it costs them is a little outside of the box thinking of how they can do it rather than spending it to Uncle Sam. How can we redirect this money to benefit somebody in a grand way?
Yeah. That is a great idea. Because
I know a lot of people that are spending tens of thousands of dollars because they get wrapped up, and next thing you know, it's December and they don't know how to do anything about it. And there's a lot of things that we can do, even if it's putting into a grant for a kid, to go towards that later on. And there's lots of things you can do. Talk to your tax guy, talk to your tax attorneys, find out how you can help somebody out rather than just giving it to Uncle Sam and to somebody else's foreign war.
Yep. 100%.
I wonder if we can come up with like a new charity just for that to help out racers. I know they do have several of them, but you don't ever hear about them.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of charities, start out with a grand idea. I think they get manipulated, or some of them stay with a good idea and just get bad idea or bad people talking about them. But I think if we had a charity that could be the donating source and keeping the right board of trustees and it going out to the right directions is the key. A lot of charities end up paying themselves way too much. With any charity, people working within the charity still make money. Nonprofits, the people working on them still make money. We need people that aren't greedy, that aren't there to make a living. They're not there to get paid. They're there to make sure these kids get money in the race accounts.
Correct.
I would love to do that.
100%.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would
it
love
almost will
That's the only
come to that if we want to keep racing going in the United States anyway, because it's getting so expensive. These families are pretty much mortgaging everything.
Yeah, they're going belly up.
On a hope that they're gonna be able to race.
Right.
Even that they're
And that's the problem is, it's a decision made solely off of passion and, the will to give their child the most opportunity or possible. And there's a lot of families that just aren't bouncing back from it.
No.
I mean, trust me, there's a lot to bounce back from. And when you mortgage in my case, the motorcycle shop just to make sure the race truck rolls, it can be tough.
Yeah, and scary because that's your livelihood. That's
right.
If that goes belly up, now you're all in this debt. And
right.
It's that's a good
lot.
idea though. Yeah,
it
we
is.
need
It's
to hit
great.
that on that more, Chris.
We will
on the podcast. We need to talk about that.
Yep,
more.
we will. Absolutely.
We can even keep the middleman out as long as we get these corporations just saying, dedicate a little more time to think this direction rather than the traditional. All right. I know companies that go out and buy spare engines for their equipment and all this other kind of stuff just to let it set because it was a write-off, and rather than sending the money out. But rather than having a bunch of engines set around that you're never going to use, you could actually, like I said, change somebody's life.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more.
We need to come up with like a marketing employee to do that.
Yeah.
Well, if we can get some momentum going, you guys just let me know how I can help.
Yeah, dude, for real. I would love to. I would love to do it, man. That's my whole thing too with the podcast, right? It's helping all the young and up and kids, give them that platform, that voice, that just help them out in any way I can. Because
Mark asked me earlier what my favorite movie was. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Chris, but Pay It Forward.
Mm-hmm.
It was a movie based out of Las Vegas about a young kid. That movie is touching, but it's true. And if we could all just give a little more than what we normally ask for, and not ask for anything back for 3 times in your life, just 3 times, it could change the world for multiple people around you and even your own. Little things like that. And I'm no saint, guys. Don't get me wrong. I've lived all kinds of crazy life. I grew up as a kid fist fighting and doing all kinds of stupid shit. But one thing that I know is if we can affect even 3 lives moving forward, that gains momentum and changes countless lives up the line from there. You know what I mean?
And it all starts with us. That's the thing.
Right.
It's not the government. It's us. We're the ones that can affect the change. We're the ones that have the power, and we're the ones that can do it. We just have
the more that we take ownership of that change of power and that power in itself, the more we take ownership and actually have integrity and pride in ourselves, the more that we'll start pushing forward to that. And that's something that's starting to get lost, is integrity and pride, the moral grounding of what our society once was and what it needs to be.
Right.
And then we'll take pride in our kids again, and we'll take pride in our standing in the
strong
world
kids again too. They won't be so weak as they are today. I mean, they really can't handle much.
Strong fathers create weak children, and it's we've got to go work through that generational situation. So
yeah. 100%. I agree with you. I do. So yeah, let's do that. We will have a chat, man, and see what we can do, man. Because I would love to be able to help young racers out. I don't want anything in return. I just want to. It puts a smile on my face just to help them out and realize that they're their dreams, right?
Right.
Yeah, we'll do it, man. We'll see what we can do. But yes, listen, guys, we're 2 hours into this. Yes, dude, what a podcast, man. I love it, dude. Mike, I love you. Thank you. Mark, you already know I love you.
Thank you guys for having me on.
Yeah,
man. It was awesome.
Always good to bullshit with you guys.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Peter said, Chris Simcoe, check your WhatsApp. I will here in a minute, Peter. But before I get off here, I just want to say big shout out to Peter, like I just did. His boy, Jake, man. They are such mega lads. If you want to, please join Club 45 to help them out. Just basically what me and Mike was talking about. They have a club. So what they do is they'll do like a club that have like 50 slots or 100 slots, and you donate whatever, 50 euros, 65 euros, 45, whatever, right? And that it puts you in a drawing to where you can win free BSB tickets, a hat, a team shirt, yada, 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 which I think is a great idea, right? Because it's like free donations, but yeah, it's really good. But anyway, guys, go check them out. If anybody wants any Pin to Gas merch, look up the Clothing Kings They make all our merchandise. Yes. All you got to do is hit them up. You get your hat, a shirt, a beanie hat, a jacket, whatever it is you want. Yep, right there it is. So yeah, and just big thank you to everybody that always watches and supports the podcast. Listen, I can't thank you guys enough. What an honor it is to be able to do this and share my love of the sport with all you people. And thank you guys so much. So yeah, until next time, my man Mark Sherman, my man Mike Pond, I'm Christian Show Simcoe, and we will see you next time. Thank you so much.
See you guys.
Oh wait, hang on. But before we do this, we gotta do this one more time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Logo coming to you.
Logo coming to you. You heard it here. First on Pin to Gas. See you guys
later.